everyone, today I'm going to talk about some reading plans that I have in the last quarter of the year. My autumn TBR, my fourth quarter TBR, whatever you want to call it. I don't do monthly TBRs, but instead just look at them more seasonally. And I talk about 20 books in these videos. What I've done in the past, I do 10 definites, 5 probablys, 5 maybes. I'm going to keep that format, but truth be told, I think I'm going to read most of these in the last quarter of the year. I don't see myself deviating from my schedule that much. I have certain plans for the year of books I want to finish and then things I want to start. And then with some travel, I have some things in there that I think work well with that schedule. So I think all 20 of these are high possibilities of things that I will read in the last quarter of 2024. So let's start with the 10 definites, starting with 3 books that are part of a book series that I started in September. The book series is The Serpent War Saga by Raymond E. Feist. I read the first book in September, and I'll be reading 1 book per month. So book 2, Rise of a Merchant Prince, I'll read in October. Rage of a Demon King, I'll read in November. And Shards of a Broken Crown, I'll read in December, so that I do finish this series by the end of the year. Depending on which reading order you look at, this series is either the 3rd, 4th, or 5th series within the overall Rift War cycle. And of all the authors that I read back in the 80s when I was reading fantasy, Feist's world is the one that spoke to me most as an adult to continue reading. So I look forward to continuing this overall Rift War cycle series in reading the Serpent War Saga this year. Next up is a book series that I will be starting right away here in October, and that is the Sun Eater Saga by Christopher Rocchio. So the Sun Eater Saga currently has 6 novels. There will be a 7th one published probably in the next year, but there are also novellas and short story collections. So my plan is to read everything and to read something once per month. So I'll be starting in October with Empire of Silence, which is the first novel in the Sun Eater Saga. I'll be reading The Lesser Devil, which is a novella, in November. And then December, I will finish up with Howling Dark, the 2nd book in the Sun Eater Saga. I greatly suspect that I will enjoy this series. If you haven't heard about this series, you probably don't watch a lot of BookTube because everybody's been raving about this series for years at this point. And I'm looking forward to this blend of science fiction and fantasy that's been compared to Dune, amongst other things. And I really look forward to reading these starting in October. And I met Rocchio last month. He was in Austin doing a book signing, and I went down and met him. He was a really nice guy, and he said he would love to come on the channel sometime. So I think once I get into reading these books, I look forward to potentially having him on the channel and talking about these books. Up next is a buddy read. I'm going to be buddy reading The Gypsy by Stephen Brust and Megan Lindholm with Evie from She's Only Evie. And I'm really looking forward to this because if you know who Megan Lindholm is, she is also Robin Hobb. Actually, both of those names are pen names, but it's the same author. I've read everything written by Robin Hobb, and I've been working my way through the Lindholm side of her catalog, and I've been enjoying it just as much. Well, maybe not just as much. Realm of the Elderlings is my favorite book series of all time, but I really am enjoying these Lindholm stories. I don't know anything about Stephen Brust. I honestly don't know much about this book either, besides the back flap. But I look forward to buddy reading this with Evie because she's also a mega Hobb fan like me. And I'm sure we'll talk about it on one of our channels after we get done with it. Next up is definitely the chunkiest book of the quarter, and that is House of Chains by Steven Erikson. This is the 4th book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. About a year and a half ago, I did a soft DNF of the series, and then this summer I resumed the series and read Memories of Ice and just absolutely loved it. And I'm looking forward to continuing. I will spread this Malazan read out. I found that for me in reading Malazan, I need to have 0 distractions. So I'll be choosing times of the year where I'm off work most likely and able to just focus and immerse myself in the story. So I'll be reading this the week of Thanksgiving. I'm not doing any travel. I'm off for the entire week. And I look forward to just getting back into House of Chains and the Malazan Book of the Fallen in November. Another definite this quarter is Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. If you're new to the channel, I'm doing a big Dennis Lehane video, hopefully in December, and I've been rereading about half of his works because I want to talk about everything that the man's written. I've read everything, I'm rereading about half of them. This will be my final reread in preparation for that video. And this is one of the earliest Lehane books that I read. I read it about the same time that the movie came out. I honestly don't remember if I read the book first and then saw the movie or vice versa, but I look forward to revisiting it in the context of having read everything by this author. So that is something that will happen October or November. And the last book on this list, when one of your favorite authors comes out with a new book, a new release, you pre-order it, and as soon as it gets to your house, you start reading it. It's not Wind and Truth. Sorry, Sanderson. I don't have time in December to read something that big, so that's going to have to get pushed back to 2025. The book I'm talking about is The Waiting by Michael Connelly. Connelly is one of my favorite crime fiction authors, actually my favorite crime fiction author, because he's the most consistently great author, actually, in any genre that I've read. Connelly is just amazing. This will be about the 40th book of his that I've read, and literally all of them are great. So Connelly book comes out, I read it. That's how it works. All right, on to the probablys on this list. So one thing I always have going is a short story collection. Generally speaking, after I finish a book, I read 1 or 2 short stories before I go on to the next book. And the short story collection I've been reading is a reread from the 1980s, and that is Night Shift by Stephen King. So the only question with any short story collection is when will I finish it? But I'm about 2/3 way through. I think I have like 7 stories left. So I'll definitely be finishing this in this quarter. But I forgot how good this was. I only remembered a couple of the stories so far and not a lot of details. And this is a strong short story collection. When I do finish this one, I will talk about this. I started a series of videos and only done 1 video so far. This will be number 2 of short fiction of Stephen King. I'm calling it my short fiction project, I think, where I give an overview of all of the short fiction books. So I'll be periodically reading those over the next couple of years, but Night Shift is probably definitely going to be something that I finish in this quarter. In addition to a short story collection going, I always have an audiobook going, and the audiobook is a reread of Prayers of Rain by Dennis Lehane. This is the 5th book in the Kenzie and Gennaro novels. Once again, I'm doing that video probably in December, so I'm rereading a lot of the ones that I read quite some time ago. And this will be done pretty soon. I only have 90 minutes left on it, so probably next week I'll finish this one. But Prayers for Rain is a strong possibility for this quarter. And then one of my favorite authors of all time that I just discovered last year, I have a goal of reading most of his works before a new release happens in May. Literally, I want to read all of his standalones before then. And the next one I plan on reading by Guy Gavriel Kay is The Last Light of the Sun. In fact, this is, even though I said it's probably, I'm reading this next week. So I love Guy Gavriel Kay. He's just an amazing author, one of my favorites, probably top 3 of all time for me, top 2 in the fantasy genre. So this is one that will definitely happen this quarter as well. And the last 2 in the probably section of this video, but they're going to happen, are 2 book series that I'm reading, kind of spread out purposely. The first one is the Draenei Saga by David Gemmell, and the book I'm up to is In the Realm of the Wolf, which is the 5th book in the Draenei Saga, reading in publication order, which actually I don't recommend, and I'll talk about that. When I finish all of these, I'm going to do a video about that with some reading advice. But In the Realm of the Wolf is a sequel of sorts to Waylander, which was the 3rd book in the Draenei Saga, and is probably my favorite of the 4 so far. It was really, really good. I love these Gemmell books, but they're essentially all standalones. So there are different orders that you can read them, and that's kind of what that video will be about when I get through all. There's really 11 of them. People say there's 9, but there's 2 that are prequels as well. So when I get through all of those, I'll do a video. But I am looking forward to reading In the Realm of the Wolf. Probably November-ish, I think, is when I have that penciled in. The other book series that I plan on continuing this quarter, is The History of Middle-earth by J.R.R. Tolkien and Christopher Tolkien. I am up to book 4, The Shaping of Middle-earth, I should say volume 4. These are basically historical texts. It's like reading nonfiction about a fictional world. And the 3rd one, The Lays of Beleriand, I read earlier this year, and it was all prose, and I really enjoyed it. And The Shaping of Middle-earth, I think, is more, I said that wrong. This is all poetry, this is all prose. Got those backwards, but I'm looking forward to continuing these. I just read these periodically when I need a Tolkien fix. I feel that every time I read one of these volumes, my appreciation for Tolkien as an author just continues to grow, and it was already sky high for me. So these 2 are definitely things that I'll be reading this quarter. All right, on to the 5 maybes on the list. The first is a short story collection, the next one that I'll read after Night Shift, and that's called That Way Lies Camelot by Janie Wirtz. And one of the reasons I'm not sure when I'll finish it is I'm not even sure how many stories are in it, because it hasn't come in yet. I ordered it and I was hoping it would arrive by this video so I could show it off, but it's not here yet. So I'm not sure how long it'll last, whether this is something I'll finish this quarter or if it'll be early next year. But I know a lot of people on BookTube are reading her Wars of Light and Shadow series. I'm not going to add that to my calendar until I read Malaz and the Book of the Fallen. So this is a way to at least satisfy a little bit my FOMO of everybody reading Janny Wirtz. So I'm looking forward to this. I do love short stories, and I look forward to reading these after night shift. The next two are my next two audiobooks, and I include both of these because I've been averaging about an audiobook a month. Even though I am an audiobook listener that listens at just real speed, I don't speed it up ever. I've started to incorporate listening a little bit more into my everyday life, and because of that, I've been able to read about an audiobook a month. So because of that, I think I might get both of these finished. The first is Moonlight Mile by Dennis Lehane, and this is a reread, and it's not a book that I needed to reread for that video that I'm going to put out, because I've read this recently enough that that portion of the video I've already scripted out. I remember it very clearly. But I've reread the first 5 Kenzie and Gennaro novels with Jonathan Davis narrating them on the audiobook, and I really like it, and I kind of just want to finish the series having reread all of them with the audiobook narrator because he's excellent. So that'll be my next audiobook as soon as I finish Prayers of Rain. Then the audiobook after that is one that a lot of you might be anticipating as well, and this will also be a reread for me, and this is The Way of Edan by Philip Chase. And of course, this one is going to be narrated by our very own Alan from the Library of Alexandria. And I think we're all eagerly anticipating the release of that audiobook. I really enjoyed the Dan trilogy. It was my self-pub series of the year last year, and I look forward to hearing the audiobook and hearing what Alan does with the text. So my last two are physical reads, and the only reason these are more maybe than anything else is because I have these penciled in late December. The month of December is kind of crazy, a bunch of performances. I'm traveling at least half of the month, going to a convention, going to visit family for the holidays. So even though there's some flights in there, it's hard to predict how much I'll read in the month of December. It may be a very light month or it could be a heavy month, you never know. And these are kind of the last 2 books I have penciled into that schedule. So we'll see if I get to them. I suspect I will, but we're still going to call these maybes. The first is Guards by Terry Pratchett. This is from the Discworld universe, and I haven't read any Discworld, haven't read any Pratchett, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure if this will be a series for me. I've never been enamored with the kind of the whimsical, humorous, comedy-laden type of fantasy that's out there. Now, I've been told that despite that's the style of this, because there's a lot of more deeper themes, that I'll probably enjoy it, and I hope that's the case. But I'm a little nervous because I think I was the only person on the planet that didn't like Good Omens, didn't like that book at all. So I'm a little nervous about this, but I'm going to try to go in open-minded because I know a lot of people love this. And I'm looking forward to reading it, even though, like, who greenlit this tall mass market paperback rectangle thing? This is like the worst shape of a book ever. Anyway, despite that, I hope to read this in December. The other book that I hope to read in December is a self-published work of historical fiction called Song of the Samurai. The author's name is C.A. Parker, not K.J. Parker or R.J. Barker. What is it with the names and the Parkers and the Barkers? Anyway, the author sent this to me a while back, and it seems like something I'll really enjoy. I, of course, do love the setting of the samurai. The song, I think there's music incorporated in here. I don't know if it's of the shakuhachi type or not. But I do look forward to reading that, hopefully in December. But anyway, those are my autumnal reading plans. Yeah, I had to use the word autumnal at least once in this video. Anyway, if you've read any of these, let me know spoiler-free in the comment section below what you thought of them. Let me know if you think I'll like Guards or not. I'm a little nervous. Anyway, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Twitter, Goodreads, and the Fireside Discord. I'd love to interact with you there. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.